Welcome into today's video. Look at this. It's another one of the whiteboard videos for you guys. I've been doing a lot of these recently on this channel. Make sure you check out all those other videos, but today is a big one. Today we're going to talk about finding your next 10x stock. I'm going to give you 5 tips to actually identify these sorts of stocks so you guys can hopefully find these sorts of stocks. I've been fortunate to participate in some of these sorts of stocks that have just gone absolute beast mode and went up hundreds of percent or 1,000% plus, right? And I've also been on the sideline and watched some of these stocks do these exact same things. And what I can find in almost all these stock situations where a stock will, 10x or more than 10x over, a 3-year span, 5-year span, 7-year span, I almost always find these 5 things common in a lot of these stocks, if not all these stocks, guys. So hope you enjoyed today's video. We're just going to get straight into the value here. I appreciate you guys joining me as always. All I ask in return is that you smash that like button. That lets me know that you guys enjoy these sorts of educational videos where I teach you on a subject like this, which is a big one, identifying your next 10x stock or maybe your first 10x stock, guys. So hope you appreciate me doing this for you guys here today. If you're looking to join us in Stock Hub, that's going to be linked in the description. If you have any stock market related questions that you would love to ask me, I try to get back to at least a few people a day there. And also, if you're looking to join us in Stock Hub, that's our free Discord chat. That's going to be linked in the description. Might also have that as a pinned comment as well, okay? First one up here, all right? The first of these 5 things on how you're going to find your next 10x plus stock is you got to find companies that are going after big TAM, okay? That's why I said the big one, okay? TAM, total addressable market, and we'll get into specific numbers here in just a moment. What that means is, if a company's going off after an entire industry that they're going after, right? Like how big is that and how much bigger is that than what that company is currently going after, okay? And what I like to see as far as numbers go is I want to see a company going after an industry in which it's at least 50x, if not a lot more than 50x, the company's actual revenue. So for instance, let's say it's a company doing $1 billion in revenue. I want the industry they're going after to be at least $50 billion in size, if not a lot larger than that, okay? And so let me give you an example of a stock that was obviously a 10x plus stock for me, and that's Tesla. When I looked at this company, I saw a million different beautiful things, and some of those we'll get into in today's video, right? But one is, I said this company has like this much market share of the automobile market, right? Meanwhile, the automobile market was like, at least 100x plus the size of Tesla's current revenue at that time. So I'm looking at this company, I'm like, all the stars are aligning here. This company is set up to be an absolute beast for years to go in the future. I think this company is going to be ultra profitable because I think their cars are going to have far better margins over time than actually traditional automakers. And so I'm looking at all these things, but at the end of the day, this was a company that had a teeny tiny market share and doing insanely small volume. And I looked at this company, I said, they're going to be doing massive volume in this industry over time. And this industry is crazy big. The TAM for automobiles sold is ridiculous, right? Never mind, there's going to be new TAM made up that they're going after, right? Which is around 2 things. Obviously, solar energy and those sorts of things. Like that's an industry that's just started to boom over the last 10 years and obviously is expected to get much bigger. But the other even bigger one is self-driving vehicles, autonomous driving, right? And that's, that's a company that I feel like is at obviously the forefront, and I felt like they were at the forefront, a couple years ago, and I feel like they're just even further in front, right? And that's a whole new TAM opportunity that's going to be tens of billions of dollars, if not hundreds of billions of dollars in terms of what the value it brings long term, right? And so I look at it from that perspective and I say this company is going after massive TAM. I believe they're going to be able to capture a significant portion of that TAM, and the company is doing very small revenues at that particular time. So that made, Tesla a couple of years ago an insanely attractive stock nonetheless, okay? So look for those sorts of opportunities. Keep this in mind whenever you're looking into stocks that are, you're hoping to be your next big one, right? And if you're trying to make, 50% over the next 5 years in a stock, a value stock or something like that, this isn't going to be important. This is for those growth stocks. That's for these type of opportunities that are kind of game-changing opportunities, right? That's the first one, okay? Let's get into number 2. In terms of the second big thing that you want to look at it to try to find these next 10x plus stocks is you want to actually look at the management team, the CEO of the company, and look at the actions that company is doing, okay? And you want to find management teams that are relentless in their pursuit of perfection and growing the business. And I can tell you, not all management teams are like this. I can tell you actually the far majority of management teams out there for CEOs and executives at a company are not like this. They're trying trying to do what's going to get them by to live another day, right? That's just the way it goes. And you think even like top executives making millions of dollars, like they got to be ultra driven. No, they get really, really complacent really, really fast. This is one of the reasons that I really love companies in which the founder is still involved in the company, maybe on the board of directors, maybe they're a direct CEO or something like that, because you're going to find a lot of more times than not, if the founder is still involved in the company, generally speaking, not always, but generally speaking, that's going to bode well for that company overall, because generally speaking, like founders just have a different level of care about a business, right? If you look at Steve Jobs and what happened with Apple, look what happened to Apple after Steve Jobs left, and look what happened to Apple after Steve Jobs came back and built that team right? And now even, a decade plus after Steve Jobs is gone, obviously Apple's been continuing to thrive because he put the right team in place and got them into the right product categories and those sorts of things, right? You got to find the management teams that are just relentless. Going back to Tesla, I looked at Elon Musk and I'm like, this isn't just a guy that does not get, easily fulfilled. You know what I mean? Like he's always pushing the limits. He's always trying to do the next thing. I mean, look what Tesla was trying to launch, a couple weeks ago, what they were showing off, a robot. Like they want to try to come out with Tesla robot. Just that sort of thinking that is just like so ridiculously like what this company's going to try to make an actual like human-like robot. Like this is just ridiculous, right? A company like that and a management team like that and a CEO like that, usually pretty dangerous, especially to short sellers, because you try to bet against those type of folks, it's usually not going to end very, very well. And that's a company that if you look at the action and you look at, are they actually doing this stuff, right? Are they actually pulling this off? And years ago, it was going to be crazy to think like this company Tesla was going to have cars that are basically driving themselves. And look what's going on in 2021. If you got a Tesla that have the full self-driving, like that car can do like the high majority of driving for you and do it on a pretty dang high level, right? Like 95% plus of the driving, if not 99% of the driving. Think about that now. And think about where this company was at in the past, right? And think about how they've scaled and made production come through. They have a relentless management team there. That's something I absolutely love. It is obviously a stock I've been buying recently, the Chef. I look at that management team and I see, executives at that company, important people on that team that are just relentless in their pursuit of perfection, coming out with new products, innovating, and having these actually get on store shelves and things like that. They're just insanely motivated, and they just push and push and push. And if you have those sorts of management teams that just don't get content easy, things are likely going to bode very well for you, and that's when a lot of times you get those 10x stocks. Look at what happened with Amazon over the past 10, 20 years. Jeff Bezos and the team over there, they've just never stopped, right? They just continue to pour money into the business and make the business more and more sticky and a better like overall experience, right? From the online to the app to delivery to trying to keep pricing low, like all these sorts of things that Amazon's just done so phenomenally well, and they've outcompeted everybody, and now Amazon is one of the biggest companies in the world, right? And meanwhile, 10 years ago, that was certainly not the case. And if we go back 15, 20 years ago, you couldn't even imagine that with Amazon, right? Like 99.9% of investors could not have imagined Amazon would be in this position today. But they were going after massive TAM, and they had a management team in Jeff Bezos there that could pull this stuff off and just stayed hungry. Okay? That's the type of management teams you need to look for if you're going to get a 10x plus stock, okay? The third thing up here is you need a company with a strong balance sheet, or they're in a situation where there's no question that they could easily raise capital if they needed to. And the reason being, if you're going to be in these type of stocks that are going to 10x, 20x, 50x, right? They're going to likely need money to get there, right? It doesn't just happen overnight, especially if the company is one of those in which they make very small profits, or maybe even they lose money on the bottom line, right? And we've definitely seen that with a lot of companies in general. Like look at Amazon in the past. It took that company a long time to make profits. Tesla's just barely gotten to profitability very, very recently, right? And so think about it from that perspective. And I looked at Tesla when I was getting involved with the stock in 2018, 2019. I looked at it and I said, this gentleman, Elon Musk, he could raise money if there was no money. He could sell, ice to an Eskimo, as they say, right? Like Elon Musk has no problem raising money. He's done it. He raised money for Tesla when Tesla was a joke back 10 plus years ago, right? And it was in the Great Recession. Think about that. If he could raise money for the company then, imagine in 2018, 2019 when the company's already, scaled and has all this demand and has all this excitement around them. Give me a break, and Elon Musk is more of a legend than ever before. Like, you think this guy's gonna have trouble raising money? Like, he could snap his fingers and raise $3 billion. Like, that's Elon Musk. Like, give me a break. Short sellers, on the other hand, we're looking at this and saying, I don't know, I don't think Elon Musk can raise money. And it's like, just look at what's going on and like spend some time on that, right? And if it's like a company that maybe they can't raise money, then they need to be in a situation where they have a strong balance sheet, okay? Capital position is so important in a business and so important in a stock. You gotta have the type of companies that have good cash, have hopefully low debts, or they're in a situation where they can just raise money and do it very, very easily, so that company can build out and do whatever it is they needed to build out, right? If Tesla if it was counting on profitability to build all these gigafactories, believe me, it wouldn't have happened, right? Tesla would have died as a company a long time ago, but because they were able to raise, I don't know what the tally was, $20 billion or whatever, because they were able to raise that money, that's what got Tesla to the stage where now they're starting to actually make money and starting to be a profitable company, and hopefully much, much more profitable over the coming years, okay? So something very important to keep in mind, balance sheet, balance sheet, balance sheet. Make sure you understand how to read a balance sheet. That is very, very key. We obviously get into that in the private group in a heavy manner. We have actual CPAs that teach that, how to read income statements, balance sheets, cash flows, things like that, okay? Next thing down here, the number 4, the vision. Okay, the vision has to be years out from management teams. They have to be always focused on the long term, right? They're going to focus on the short term from a day-to-day perspective, but when they're talking to the shareholders and investor base, the focus really has to be on what's going on for this company over the next 3, 5, 7 years. Where are they projecting revenues to be over time? Where are their goalposts at? And the reason that's really key is then you're going to know this is a management team that is really in this for the long haul, right? And they're focused on trying to get to these numbers over time, and you as a shareholder know this is a company's goal, right? This is where the company thinks this will be in 2 years from now, 4 years from now, 6 years from now. That is extremely key. Keep in mind here, okay, if you're trying to be in a stock that's going to 10x over the next, let's say 10 years, that is an abnormal thing. Stocks don't usually just 10x, right? So if you're in that sort of stock that's going to 10x over the next 5 years, 10 years, whatever, right? You're going to need a management team that is ultra focused on where they're going over the coming years. And if they keep give you that vision on how we get to this number and that number and this number and how we're going to execute over the next 2, 4, 6 years, if they can't do that and articulate that and where they're going, then you're in a situation where everything's going to be caught up into the short-term numbers. Did they beat numbers? Did they miss numbers? What's happening next quarter? And if you're in the real big stocks that have the huge potential, it's not just about, did they miss numbers or beat numbers last quarter? It's about where's this company going over the next 3 years, 5 years? Where's their big vision? How are they going to execute to get this company in a position where they can actually do that, right? And so, obviously, stocks I'm in, I like to be in those sorts of opportunities that are massive, right? And the company can give me that vision on how they get there, okay? So going back to a stock like obviously the Chef, right? I look at that stock and, they basically believe they can be doing at least $1 billion of revenue by 2026. That lets me know, hey, this management team's thinking about the coming years, and then I can know, like, how do they plan on getting there? Oh, they need to hit this number, this number, this number to get to a place like that, right? And that's really, really big. And obviously, Elon Musk always talks about Tesla in terms of where they're going over time. In the short term, they're going to try to hit their numbers or beat their numbers, but the vision is always on the long term. Here's where we're trying to be over the next 10 years. Not just where we're trying to be tomorrow. And think about it from this perspective, right? Let's take it on a human's perspective, right? If you were, trying to bring somebody into your life that you want to be their long-term, a spouse or whatever, right? You wouldn't want them to just talk about where they're trying to be in their life tomorrow or in 3 months from now. You want somebody that's going to be able to, be with you for the long term, right? And you're going to think they're going to prosper over the long term, and here's where they're going over their life, here's where their goals are. So okay, this is somebody I'm aligned with. We have similar objectives, and we're trying to go to these sorts of places over time, right? Because if you're in a situation where it's just all in the short term, like, it doesn't make for a good situation. If I look at a company like the Honest Company, which is a stock I've been buying very, very recently, right? That's a company that's going after crazy big TAM over the coming years, right? When they're just like this big in an industry that's absolutely massive that they're going after, right? And so I say this company has massive TAM, and I can see where their vision is over the coming years and how they grow into, $400 million of revenue, $600 million of revenue, $800 million of revenue, and things like that, okay? Fifth thing up here, all right, this is extremely key, because what you're going to find sometimes is, especially in the IPO market, new companies, SPACing and things like that, special purpose acquisition companies, you're going to hear sometimes some big talk from companies and why they're going to do this big thing in this big industry and things like that, right? But you got to ask yourself, who's actually doing it in the real world? Who's proving that this is going to be a reality for them? Because if you aren't getting any of that proven to you, then you're in a situation where you're kind of just gambling on that company, right? And so, for instance, like, I could have invested in Tesla in 2011. By the way, I probably would have done good. But there was an extremely risky time to invest in Tesla back in 2011, right? And the reason being is they weren't actually proving that much at that time, right? Versus 2018, 2019, when I was investing in this company, and I was like, okay, they got Model 3 out there, they've done this, they've ramped Model X, they ramped Model S, there's clearly demand for it, they got these big pre-order numbers, and they're scaling their business, right? And I can look at this track record of revenue growth and how much they expanded the business. I say, they actually done this, right? So I'm not taking a huge risk, because, keep in mind, sometimes you're gonna find a stock that, even if they haven't proven anything, you can get in and you can make some huge gains. But the far majority of time, I find those stocks don't end up in some scenario where it's all roses, and actually it ends up in a situation where it goes really, really bad. It's got to be a company that is proving this out, right? Investing in Amazon in 1999, it was a lot of talk. We could do this and that, right? Not to say they weren't doing anything, but it was a lot of talk. Versus investing in Amazon in 2005, totally different scenario. Investing in Amazon in 2004, totally different scenario, right? Because you're looking at a company that was already scaling their business. They had proven, here's where our revenue's going. Here's why we're going to be able to execute on this next vision, right? So totally different setup there. And the gains can still be absolutely ridiculous, okay? Don't just buy into any dream a company gives. Say, are they actually doing this in the real world today? That gives me that confidence that they're going to be able to get to this place over the next 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, guys. That's how you find the next 10x stock. Keep these 5 things in mind. Maybe write them down before you leave this video. Just save this video long term and check it out in the future when you're looking into companies and say, does it meet these 5 criteria, guys? Hope you appreciate this and kind of me giving the points around these and what to actually look for. And check out a ton of more educational videos I've been putting out here on Financial Education 3 recently. Ton of whiteboard videos, giving out a ton of gems on different subjects. So definitely check out all the different videos we've been putting out here recently. Also, if you want to join us in Stock Hub, that's our free Discord chat. You can join down there if you want, absolutely free. It's going to be the pinned comment down there. And if you have any stock market questions for me, I try to get back to at least a few people a day. Go ahead and check out, basically it's absolutely free to text me. I might have that. It's like the pinned comment or, linked in the description or something like that. Much love as always, guys, and have a great day.